Greetings and ladies and gentlemen, my name is SIgal Dota, coming to you with my first Dota pubcast for DotaCasters.com. If you want to follow us over on Twitter, it is twitter.com/DotaCasters. You can follow me, myself, SIgal, over on twitter.com/JAMANN Dota. This game is going to be provided to us by Joe SIgal from the Dota Casters website. It's going to be a very high skill bracket, ranked all-pick matchmaking game. So for those of you that don't know how that works, each team will have about approximately 40 seconds in order to pick. Any time spent after that, any hero who has not picked yet will continue to lose 2 gold per second. So now that we've covered that, let's go ahead and get into this one. And the first pickup for the Radiant team is going to be Ember Spirit, immediately countered by the Storm Spirit on the Dire. This could be your middle matchup, but Ember Spirit, unlike Storm Spirit, can sometimes go into that safe lane farming position. Storm Spirit, not as common for him to fall into that role, simply because he does need those levels in order to snowball during the middle game as well as the late game. And the Ember Spirit really just needs to focus on his farming. So if he falls into like a unfavorable situation, a farming situation against someone like, an Invoker for he is picked up on the Radiant team, so actually it most likely will be the Invoker going mid, and it will most likely be a farming safe lane Ember Spirit backed up by that support line that was picked up second by the Radiant team. Second pickup for the Dire was the Phantom Lancer. It is most likely going to be going into that safe lane carry one role position. Has been known as of late a little bit to be picked up into that off lane role. I know Ice over for Vici Gaming has tried to do that doppelganger. Now that it has been reworked, no longer is it going to just cause you to go invisible, but actually allows you to disjoint a lot of projectiles, as well as escape from high ground to low ground situations. So Phantom Lancer definitely coming back into the meta these days, but typically he does need a little bit of farm in order to become productive for his teammates. We'll be needing to look to probably get a Vladimir's offering as well as a Diffusal Blade to be most effective, but it has occasionally been known that he will pick up something like a Daedalus or maybe even a Desolator, so his illusions are doing a little bit of extra damage after they did get nerfed, doing a little bit less illusions, doing a little bit less damage to towers after the last patch. Earthshaker, third pickup for the Dire team, that most likely going to be the safe lane support for that Phantom Lancer. So it could be looking to see a defensive tri-lane coming out from the Dire team of the Storm Spirit in the middle lane with Phantom Lancer as well as Earthshaker and the third support that they pick up. Queen of Pain, the fourth pickup for the Radiant team. So they do have 3 potential heroes that could be going into that mid role, but the only one so far that really could possibly go into that solo offlane position would be the Queen of Pain. She does have that second skill of Blink, so she is capable of getting away from some sticky situations. Fortunately, it does have a little bit of a cast animation on it, so if she does get caught out by the Fissure of the Earthshaker, whatever that last support here that the Dire want to pick up could end up being potentially hazardous for her if she's by herself up in that solo offlane position. Faceless Void being the fourth pickup for the Dire team, most likely going to be their offlane hero. Phantom Lancer and him both have similar effects. Void has that time walk if he does find himself into trouble, but the one extra nice thing about him that makes him a little more feasible in that offlane is the fact that he does have that backtrack. So just like how PA has that innate ability to evade attacks, Faceless Void also has that, can also end up backtracking spells as well, which is an extra bonus for that. So look to be seeing this Faceless Void into the offlane. It would just be a question of whether or not they want to run a 2-1-2 or if they're going to run the defensive tri-lane like we spoke about and just running that Storm solo in the mid lane. And the last support hero picked up for the Radiant team is going to be the Silencer. Pretty strong pickup pretty much in every meta. Just the Global Silence, just a really big spell. A lot of the heroes for the Dire team already really reliant on those big abilities. The Earthshaker with his Echo Slam, as well as the Storm Spirit. If he does get silenced without that BKB, it's going to be hard for him to be able to use Ball Lightning to get out of these sticky situations. We're going to go ahead and break down the teams right now. Over for the Dire team, we do have Nicole over onto the Phantom Lancer. We will have the Storm Spirit is going to be picked up by Doc, Road to 4K. The Skywrath Mage is going to be played by Zero. Air J over onto that Earthshaker, and our local friendly Chinese player is going to be playing that off-lane Faceless Void. And it does look like they might be running the 2-1-2. They have the Earthshaker going down into that bottom lane with the Faceless Void. Whether or not that's simply to ward and try to protect against that bottom rune, we will see shortly. But breaking it down for the Radiant team, it's going to be Kiz over onto the Lion. Your Lie is going to be playing the Silencer. Invoker going into that middle lane, going to be played by Blackfire. The off-lane hero is going to be that Queen of Pain. We do have a little bit of a disconnect from the line at the moment, but it does look like they are going to be running a defensive tri-lane for the for the Radiant team. Silencer has started to double back up towards that top lane, so he could potentially either just be giving a ward over to that Queen of Pain, or he's going to come join her up there in order to try to secure her safety. If she does end up getting that long-range silence from that Skywrath mage up in the top lane, it's going to be pretty difficult for her to get away from anything if she gets connected by the fissure at first, as well as the slow from the Spirit Lance of the Phantom Lancer. So that the Skywrath Mage definitely a very solid last pick for the Dire team, recognizing that it most likely is going to be the Queen of Pain as their only offlane potential hero. So once he gets that silence over onto her, it's going to definitely be useful in the same way that Storm Spirit is going to be affected pretty greatly by using his Ball Lightning, or not able to use his Ball Lightning up against the global silence of the Silencer, let alone if he does get that last word or the Curse of the Silent onto him. As you can see, the Ember Spirit did decide to go down into that bottom lane. He is sitting up here on the high ground for that bottom rune, but there are 4 heroes for the Dire team here. They're going to spot up the PL at the top lane, but looks like they are going to make moves down and at least secure this bottom rune. So PL getting backed off by the dagger from the Queen of Pain up top. Earthshaker's here. He is going to get the fissure over onto the Lion as well as the Ember Spirit. They're blocked out. They're going to have to walk around this with 4 heroes down here. It might be disastrous. They do end up losing a Lion. First Blood going over to the way of the Faceless Void, as well as Storm Spirit picking up a secondary kill over on the Lion. That could definitely be a little bit of a rough start for the Radiant team right now. Already getting about a 400 gold advantage right off the get-go due to those 2 kills, as well as getting that bounty rune on the bottom. So now that it looks like the lanes are starting to settle down a little bit, we see a decent amount of vision coming out for the Dire team. They have a ward up by the high ground of the rune, as well as a ward double blocking these pool camps over here, but there is going to be a sentry ward coming out from the Silencer, realizing that the Earthshaker most likely did end up getting both of his wards down. So a little bit unfortunate for them that he's going to be able to de-ward this, so they will have the pool camp available for them. And this Queen of Pain already falling really low up in this top lane. She is going to end up falling over to that Phantom Lancer. So not the best start coming out for the Radiant team. Getting a little bit of snowball over onto that Phantom Lancer as well as the offlane Faceless Void. And as we can see, it is going to be the Earthshaker as well as the Faceless Void in this offlane position. Ember Spirit is going to be backed up by the support of the Silencer as well as the Lion. So it's going to be a little bit difficult for this Faceless Void in order to farm, but he should be able to get some EXP down in this bottom lane at the minimum. Depending on, he does have a little bit of a buffer hero in that Earthshaker. We'll be able to throw out a fissure if he does end up running into a little bit of trouble or overextends on him for himself. This Queen of Pain, though, up in this top lane, she is going to get some experience from the creep wave pushing a little bit. This Lion needs to go back in order to get the pull off, because the one thing that they want to do is definitely make sure that she can't get into within EXP range, let alone if she can get into farming range. It could end up being a pretty good situation for her getting that solo EXP for the Radiant team over here. This mid matchup, the Invoker versus that Storm Spirit, does look like it's going to be a Quas Wex Invoker. So he's going to be looking to try to disable the Faceless Void and the sapping the mana of that Storm Spirit in order to keep him from getting a lot of Ball Lightnings, being able to wreak havoc in these team fights once he gets large enough of a mana pool built up for himself. Lion did get the stack, or actually it was going to be the Skywrath Mage who rotates back up into this top lane, who is going to be able to get the stack off for the Phantom Lancer up in that safe lane farming position. Silencer did end up grabbing the bottom room, which was invisibility. He's going to come into this middle lane in order to try to go on the Storm Spirit, but the creep wave is pushed up onto their high ground. He also is only level 1, so all he has is last word leveled right now. The Invoker does have to use his level 3 in order to get the Invoke, so he is only going to have level 1 of Quas. Cold Snap is not going to keep the Storm Spirit locked down for too long, so as long as this Creep Wave stays up back on the side of the Dire's River, it's going to be pretty difficult for them to get a kill here, and might end up just being a wasted rotation out from the Silencer. We see a Fissure coming out on the bottom lane over onto that Ember Spirit, but Lion's going to be here to throw an Earth Spike over onto the Faceless Void. He does get a bash over onto that the Ember Spirit, though. Throws out the Searing Change. It is going to latch on both heroes, so he's going to be able to shrug that off and walk away and just pop a salve and heal back up. Queen of Pain, realizing that the Skywrath Mage is up here pulling the lane, is going to try to come over into the backside of the jungle and try to get some EXP for herself. Just look like there is going to be a little bit. There is a Hex over onto that Earthshaker. He gets the last word from the Silencer as well, but no more lockdown coming out for them, so he's going to be able to walk away after that and continue to let the Faceless Void get some farm. And Skywrath Mage already using both sources of regen that he brought to the lane, that salve as well as the Clarity. The dagger from the Queen of Pain doing a lot of damage over him. So he's going to either have to have some more regen out to himself, or he's going to have to be really careful about who he how close he gets to that Queen of Pain in the lane. As we check out these last hits and denies, it is the Faceless Void leading the charge at 17-4. Great start for him. He already has his boots as well as the Gloves of Haste, so whether or not he just wants to go into a really fast Midas after getting that first Gold Blood could definitely be what he wants to go for. Or he could simply be working into a fast Maelstrom with that. That could easily be it. It's just simply because the fact that he would normally go for a Mask of Madness early on so that he can get a lot of attack damage off during those early game Chronospheres, the level 1 Chronospheres. He actually is going to opt for Treads, so he's just looking to get a little bit more of attack damage during those early initiations with the Chronosphere, and potentially see him move over into a Mask of Madness next for himself. So both safe lane farming heroes actually starting to pull ahead here, 22-1 over onto the Ember Spirit, 19-1 up here for the Phantom Lancer. He does have the Ring of Aquila, most likely going to be turning that into... he has the Ring of Basilisk, actually going to be turning that into a Ring of Aquila, and then potentially going over into a Diffusal Blade for himself, or if he's having a tough time sustaining within his own lane, could be moving over into that Vladimir's Offering, just so even if he does end up getting a lot of rotations out from the Radiant team up to him on that top lane, he'll be able to fall into his own jungle so that he can farm up those camps. We could potentially see the support heroes moving back into there so that they can get some stacks up for him. Queen of Pain did end up getting her bottle, so that'll be useful for her in order to try to sustain within this lane. Earthshaker is going to throw out a Fissure. It's not going to connect over on the Ember Spirit. He does end up just moving up towards the Fog, capable of getting away from that. Level 2 on the Mana Drain for the Lion, so he's going to be able to zone out these offlane heroes in the short time. Just doing exactly that will throw out the Earth Spike as well as the Mana Drain afterwards. He's going to force a lot of mana to be used over from that Faceless Void, who doesn't have any mana regen, while the Ember Spirit did end up picking up a bottle for himself. An interesting choice for him simply because he's not going to be rotating that often over to the runes. He's going to want to be sitting in the lane in order to get as much farm as he possibly can. And by going for those runes, if they aren't bounty or if he doesn't get a kill off of what he gets from the 2-minute rune, it is going to be difficult for him to catch up to this Phantom Lancer and farm, as he is basically neck and neck with him at the moment. As far as our mid lane comparison is going up, it is going to be the Storm Spirit at 27-16 compared to the 14-6 of Invoker. So Storm Spirit definitely getting a little bit better of the engagement in this middle lane. Finishes up his Soul Ring already, but meanwhile there is a Fissure down on this bottom lane onto the Lion. Searing Change is going to keep both of the Earthshaker as well as the Faceless Void locked down. No mana for a Time Walk for that Faceless Void, so luckily he's going to be able to get away from this one. So he actually ends up getting the stun over onto the Ember Spirit, gets the kill onto him. Queen of Pain I was trying to go up there. The Queen of Pain did end up going down to this Phantom Lancer. Silencer has come over here as well. Throws the last word as well as the Curse of the Silent onto him. He's going to end up falling too. So 5-1, 6 minutes and 52 seconds in favor of the Dire. Queen of Pain has found out the Skywrath Mage, though. Throws the dagger as well as the Scream of Pain onto him, but it's not going to be enough to tick him out. Does look like they are continuing to chase this. Invoker is up here as well now too, so he could catch the Skywrath Mage on the backside. He moves over into the Fog, throws out the Tornado, barely clips him on the edge of it. The EMP should be enough to take him down in the end, and it will be. So the Invoker getting a nice rotation out from that middle lane over onto him. Storm Spirit is invisible as well right now, so he could end up trying to catch this Invoker on his way back out, but he does have Ghost Walk queued up already from his Invoke, so it's going to be pretty easy for him to escape from this unless, yeah, Storm Spirit doesn't have any levels in Electric Vortex at the moment. So he sees that the Storm Spirit out, but he actually has Dust, so he's going to continue to go over onto this Invoker, gets to the first ball lightning onto him as well as the Overload charge. Easy kill for him, having that Dust in his inventory. Nice early pickup for him. Meanwhile, the Faceless Void on the bottom lane is starting to drop pretty low. There's the Searing Chains from the Ember Spirit is going to drop him. He is going to go down to the Ember Spirit. Earthshaker on the run as well now too. Going to need only a couple more last right clicks from that Ember Spirit. He doubles back around, trying to do the do-si-do around the creep wave, but it's not going to be enough. Meanwhile, the Queen of Pain and the Silencer are getting initiated up on that top lane. Silencer dropping pretty low as well as the Queen of Pain, but she's going to blink away. Phantom Rush from the Illusions over onto her, but it's not going to be enough damage coming out from him yet. Only has that Ring of Aquila as well as the Band of Elven Skin. So Invoker sitting back in this middle lane. He does have his Phase Boots finished as well as a Ring of Regen. Most likely going to be working over into a Force Staff for himself. Just another way to try to escape away from this early game Faceless Void in the Chronospheres, who does end up popping the Chrono down on this Ember Spirit on the bottom lane, and it's going to be enough to take him down. The rotation help out from the Fissure of the Earthshaker as well as the Skywrath Mage. Meanwhile, Silencer is going to end up falling up on this top lane as to the Storm Spirit, who ended up coming up here as well. Also has a regen rune inside of his bottle, so if he wants to try to find anyone else out, he could end up trying to get another kill based on that, but no Radiant Heroes are up here at the moment. Queen of Pain is walking herself back to the lane at the moment. And we can see a little bit of smoke coming out from the Dire team, the Skywrath Mage as well as the Earthshaker coming over here trying to get a kill over onto this Invoker. Storm Spirit is TPing back to the lane, so he's going to throw out the Tornado and the EMP, which will most likely connect on him. He does end up zipping out of that with the Ball Lightning. The Fissure is going to be the last thing to get the kill over on that Invoker. 5-9 in favor of the Dire team, but a nice makeup kill coming out from that top lane up against the Phantom Lancer earlier, but we see another rotation coming out. The Skywrath Mage as well as the Phantom Lancer is down here now. He did opt to get Treads. They're going to run into the Lion. He gets the Hex off, but he's fissured up as well. Spirit Lance goes out over onto him. He's going to throw out the Earth Spike and drop slow from the Illusions, though. Phantom Lancer getting the last hit on that. Meanwhile, there is a Storm Spirit. He did Ball Lightning in. He's going over onto this Ember Spirit. He throws out the Electric Vortex. Does end up taking him down as the Phantom Lancer, so definitely being a profitable rotation out for him. Invoker has joined this fray as well. Has the Tornado and the EMP queued up, so we could see a pretty big brawl coming out on this bottom lane of the Radiant team back behind their tier 1 tower. Faceless Void did end up going out to that top lane in order to try to get some safe and easy farm, but Phantom Lancer as well as Storm Spirit are coming down back behind this tier 1 tower. The EMP is being thrown out, but they're going to be able to take down that Silencer before that ends up going down. The Queen of Pain has come in here as well. She's missing a little bit of mana, doesn't have enough for the Sonic Wave yet, but she is bottling up. She'll have that shortly, only needs 4 more mana, and it is going to be a dead Phantom Lancer whenever she throws that out. But the Mystic Flare dropping the Invoker really low. The Lion is going to end up getting the Finger of Death over onto the Phantom Lancer in order to get the kill on him, but Invoker ends up dying to, I believe, was the Queen of Pain. Yeah, well, actually, it was the Phantom Lancer who got the kill on him, so despite the fact that he did die, I believe he did end up getting about 3 kills, already at 7-3-0 for himself, only 10 minutes into the game, so that's going to be a pretty quick Diffusal Blade if he wants to go for it. Does have the Blade of Alacrity at the moment. He used to have a Band of Elven Skin. I'm not sure if he sold it, but so he could potentially be working over into a Manta style if he wants to go for that Yasha, but he should potentially be going over for either the Vladimir's Offering or the Diffusal Blade, just so his Doppelganger illusions are doing a lot. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, it is going to be the Global Silence coming out from the Silencer, keeping that Earthshaker from throwing out a Fissure in order to stop the Invoker from killing him, but it actually is the Silencer who ends up dying, and back in this bottom lane, the Storm Spirit came in, used the Ball Lightning and ended up taking him down. A little bit of a gold exchange, about 600 in favor of the Dire team after that. Checking the net worth graph at the moment, sitting about 3,500 in favor of the Dire. XP most likely doing something similarly, around 3,000 in favor of them. So they are starting to get a little bit of a snowball effect going on at only 11 minutes in. 3,000 gold is nothing to scoff at the moment, and that's definitely going to be attributed to the quick start of that Storm Spirit as well as the Phantom Lancer, who's already sitting at 7-3-0. Faceless Void also getting that first blood, did end up finishing that Mask of Madness over onto him. They're going to throw a Spirit Lance over onto the Invoker as well as using the Dust from the Storm Spirit. EMP is going to go out, and it is going to connect over on that Storm, so he's a little bit low on mana. Still has a Soul Ring as well as the bottle charges. He does end up finding out that Silencer, and it's going to be Phantom Lancer who gets the last hit on him. The Mystic Flare from the Skywrath Mage is not going to connect, but Ember Spirit's now here too. He wants to get some follow-up kills. Phantom Lancer Spirit Lance is going to go out over onto him. Throws out the Remnant, but he comes right back, dropping pretty low. He gets the Spirit Lance over on him again. Throws out a second one, but it's going to connect over onto that line. They throw out the Arcane Bolt, and that should be enough to take him down. So Phantom Lancer is dropping pretty low. The Sconic Wave as well as the Scream of Pain is going to take out the Storm Spirit on the backside, but Phantom Lancer diving a little bit deep. He has the Doppelganger, unless he wants to go down to the low ground. But Ember Spirit does end up buying back and getting the kill over onto that Phantom Lancer. Meanwhile, the Earthshaker is going to be able to just TP away. No way to stop that from the Queen of Pain. So a bit of a crazy fight. The fight recap didn't catch all of that, so we'll check the net worth graph in a second whenever it updates. But definitely coming out in favor of the Dire team, I would have to imagine, losing a few, as well as getting the buyback from that Ember Spirit. So that's going to continue to accelerate their farm and their snowball. The Faceless Void is continuing to farm up his jungle, and that top lane has an extra 1,500 gold on top of the Mask of Madness, as well as the Treads and the Gloves of Haste. So he could most likely be moving over into a Maelstrom after this. There are 3 heroes grouped up for the Radiant team in this middle lane. A little bit of identical vision coming out for both teams down in this bottom. They both have a ward right here as well as right here. And checking out the rotations, they do have each have a ward over in the jungle of the Radiant team. See a little bit of stacking coming out from that Earthshaker to try to help facilitate his carries farm farther than it already is. There is a Mithril Hammer pickup from that Faceless Void, so he will be working into the Maelstrom next. Whether or not he keeps that just a casual Maelstrom and then starts opting to go for different items after that, or turns it into a full Mjolnir, definitely could be useful for that Storm Spirit or the himself whenever he goes in with those Chronospheres. The static shield that comes out from that Mjolnir buff definitely does a lot more damage than most people would like to give it recognition for. So it could be a really big early pickup for them. They are smoked up in this top lane, though. They are going to find out the Invoker as well as the Ember Spirit. Throws out the Chronosphere as well as the Fissure. Skywrath Mage Mystic Flare is going to be able to take out that Ember Spirit. The EMP as well as the Tornado thrown out from that Invoker. He queues up the Ghost Walk, but he is silenced. He's going to be alright and able to walk away from this. The Radiant team is getting some help out for themselves as well. Silencer as well as Lion have joined this fray, and Queen of Pain is moving herself up to this top lane as well. She's working herself up towards her Orchid. Lion, meanwhile, does end up getting from the after the Tornado from the Invoker, gets the Finger of Death over onto that Faceless Void, not capable of backtracking that last Finger of Death. But he did end up finishing his Maelstrom before he died, so not going to lose too much gold after that. Checking this net worth graph, it is going to be dipping down, a little bit of a roller coaster ride back and forth, up and down. It's going to be sitting around 6,000 in favor of the Dire team, though. Radiant, recognizing that they need to make up a little bit of ground here, maybe looking to try to get a little bit of map control back, are going to start pressuring this tier 1 tower up in the top lane. Invoker TPing down to the bottom because it is the tier 2 for the Radiant team that is getting threatened, is down to about half HP. They do have Glyph available, but it is the Ember Spirit as well as the Invoker down here on that Phantom Lancer. EMP is going to go off, dropping him pretty low. Throws out the Doppelganger, but he's not going to go too far. Throws the Phantom Spirit Lance out over onto the Ember Spirit, slows him down, but he is dropping really low. Invoker is going to be able to kill him. Actually, it is going to be the Ember Spirit who gets the kill on him from the Remnants, but Dire team is starting to come down here as well. Throws out the Fissure, not going to be able to connect over onto that Ember Spirit. Earthshaker just barely misses with that Echo Slam. Throws out the Dust in order to try to see that Invoker, which did connect. Might be an opportunity for that Storm Spirit, but he does expend a lot of mana in order to try to zip over him. Meanwhile, in the top lane, hexed up over onto the Faceless Void at the moment. Sonic Wave comes out as well. Silencer is going to get the last hit over into that Faceless Void. So a bit of a comeback coming back for the Radiant team right now. A little bit of about 1,300 gold exchange in their favor. Checking to see who's topping out this net worth right now. Phantom Lancer, no surprise there, at 7,500 net worth. He does have the finished Diffusal Blade, as well as an Orb of Venom in his inventory. Whether or not he's going to try to hold on to that and drop his wand, or if he's just going to save that up to potentially move into an Eye of Scotty later in the game. Time will certainly tell, but it's not going to be until a little bit later that he picks that up. Storm Spirit, also identical to that Queen of Pain, moving over into his Orchid, has the first Oblivion Staff finish as well as his second Quarter Staff. Queen of Pain also having basically the same exact amount of farm, 6,500 for the the Storm Spirit, 4,800 for her. So he is going to have his Treads as well as the bottle. compared to the Queen of Pain. He does have that soul ring on top of it, so that's what set him back just a little bit there, keeping her in the equal timing. Invoker is going to throw out the EMP on this bottom lane, but Phantom Lancer does get the slow over onto the no mana of that Ember Spirit. He's going to end up falling down to that Phantom Lancer. They are going to continue on to this. The Phantom Lancer is by himself down here now, though. The Queen of Pain going over onto that the Lion as well. Or Phantom Lancer is going to end up getting a kill on the Lion. The Queen of Pain ends up getting the last hit over onto the Phantom Lancer. So she's going to get a bit of a gold injection into her pockets, but getting 2 for just his life is that Phantom Lancer not going to be too bad of an exchange as far as he's concerned. Does end up getting a couple kills. Has another 1100 gold in his inventory. Meanwhile, the Earthshaker did opt to go for those arcane boots as opposed to going for a fast blink dagger with just naked boots. So he's going to be able to... Phantom Lancer asking if you just fought against 5. Yeah, you did. You did end up killing 2 of them as well. Silencer being a little bit salty about the fact that he's playing Phantom Lancer, but you are also playing a Silencer, which is pretty much the bane of everyone's existence in ranked Olympic matchmaking. Meanwhile, Faceless Void moves over onto this Ember Spirit, throws down the Chrono as well as the Fissure being there from the Earthshaker. Easy kill for the Faceless Void right now. 18 minutes and 20 seconds in, the Radiant team has lost all of their outer tier 1 towers while none have been taken of the Dire's team. A couple of the towers dropping below half HP, but the Tornado is going to come out over onto the Faceless Void as well as the Earthspig from the Lion. He's going to get the last hit with that Finger of Death. Fissure is going to block the Invoker as well as the Lion from pursuing anything up against that Earthshaker, but Queen of Pain is coming up here towards that river spot. She's going to blink up. She does get the Scream of Pain as well as the dagger over onto him, but Skywrath Mage is here as well, walks right into the Sonic Wave, which ends up taking out that Earthshaker. This is the high ground auto attack from the Invoker, but it's going to be the creeps that got pulled by the Storm Spirit that end up getting the last hit on him. So a little bit unfortunate of timing there. Might have actually been able to walk away, but the neutral camp creeps that were walking away, towards that Storm Spirit end up killing him. So the Radiant team not going to get any experience or gold for that. It's just a little bit unfortunate for the wallet of that Skywrath Mage, who has finished his Arcane Boots for himself. Invoker also going for an Orchid on him, most likely just looking to try to shut down that Storm Spirit. They don't have besides the Earth Spike and the Global Silence from the Silencer, a lot of ways to keep him from bouncing around. So they are going to pick up a couple of Orchids in order to try to keep him on lockdown, which Queen of Pain actually just finished up herself. And they are going to see a Tornado as well as an EMP over onto this Phantom Lancer. He loses pretty much all his mana, has no mana for Doppelwalk, ends up popping his Magic Wand as well as the Doppelganger, but not going to be enough. Queen of Pain getting the last hit with that Scream of Pain onto him. 22-19 in favor of the Dire team at the moment is going to be about 4,700 in favor of Dire. They are losing a little bit of the ground that they've gained over this early game dominance that they've had. But it looks like they are going to be able to catch out this Ember Spirit. He does throw the Remnant out into the jungle of the trees. He does connect with the Fissure. He does throw out oh, he's going to whiff on the Chronosphere, but there is a couple more heroes here in order to try to get the backup. Throws out the Mystic Flare as well as the Silence and the Arcane Bolts onto him. Long-range Zip from the Storm Spirit is going to end up taking him out, but he's out of mana, so they most likely will have to back up after he bottle charges back up. A little bit of a rotation coming out and try to respond to that from the Radiant team. The Force Staff up from the Invoker as well as the Tornado. Not going to be able to catch anyone out, just catching the creeps on that one. So nice disengagement from the Dire team after that. Orchid finished over onto that Storm Spirit as well. So potentially looking to him go pick up a Bloodstone next, or could potentially move over into a Scythe of Ice in order to try to just completely counter the Ember Spirit. As well as if he can get the initiation over onto that Silencer before he gets the Global Silence off. That's definitely going to be beneficial, allowing the rest of his team to get the initiation off that they really want. Once Blink Dagger comes out on that Earthshaker, can get those big Echo Slams off onto the rest of the Radiant team. But there is going to be an engagement down here, it looks like. Tornado is going to fly out, not going to head over into that Storm Spirit. Orchid comes out from the Queen of Pain. Looks like the Storm Spirit does want to just turn around on this. There's out a couple auto attacks, but Phantom Lancer's coming out from the backside of this attack, TPing out from that bottom lane. Ice Wall is going to be thrown down by the Invoker. Sonic Wave's thrown out as well, but it's not going to connect on anyone. Meanwhile, the Phantom Lancer is throwing out that Spirit Lance over onto the Silencer. He's dropping him low due to the mana from that the Diffusal Blade, or a big Echo Slam coming out from that Earthshaker. It's going to be a triple kill over from the Phantom Lancer, only the Lion surviving. So that nice Fissure combination with that Echo Slam keeps everyone locked in place, allowing that Phantom Lancer to just do what Phantom Lancers do and get the auto attacks off, get those illusions built up, and just too much mana burn coming from the Diffusal Blade, as well as auto attack damage over onto that Radiant team. They just aren't farmed enough right now in order to deal with the damage output coming out from the Dire team. The Ember Spirit does did opt to go for Boots at Travel first instead of his Battle Fury. So he has the Claymore as well as the Boots of Travel at the moment. Going to be working into that Battle Fury, but his farm is definitely going to be slowed down a little bit, just looking to try to be able to engage globally with his teammates throughout these fights, since there is a Storm Spirit as well as a Faceless Void on the map. So whenever they pop out, they do have the Time Walk as well as the Ball Lightning in order to try to surprise the Radiant team from the fog if they so desire. Earthshaker trying to get his the farm for his Blink Dagger is about 1,600 gold, so he's only going to need about 750 more in order to complete that. A little bit of aggressive warding coming out from the Dire team. They have great vision, but meanwhile there is going to be the Storm Spirit zipping up onto the Silencer. He has that Orchid. That's just an easy kill for the Storm Spirit over on that Silencer. Also had the DG rune activated as well. Doesn't have enough mana in order to get a kill over onto the Ember Spirit, since he does... Actually, he will have it in 4 seconds, the Flame Guard up, which will block a lot of that magic damage, and we see the rotations coming out from the rest of the Radiant team. But these, as I was saying before, these super aggressive wards coming out for the Dire. They have it on the high ground over here in the Radiant jungle. Actually, that one's about to expire, and in this mid lane, so not a lot of safe places for the Dire team to farm, or for the Radiant team to farm. The only vision coming out for them is around the Roshan pit, just trying to make sure that whenever they go for that, they might have the opportunity to get the initiation off that they want with the global silence from that Silencer. See the Invoker, he is still pretty far away from the completion of that Orchid. Still has the 2 Robe of the Magi's as well as the Quarterstaff, so he will have 1 Oblivion Staff finish. Meanwhile, there is a Chronosphere in the mid lane. Lion's there in order to assist, though. He gets the Hex off onto the Faceless Void, but it is going to end up being the Storm Spirit who zips in and gets the kill over onto that Queen of Pain. Zoning EMP from the Invoker, not going to be enough to try to get a reinitiation off onto the Dire team. So that's going to be an easy kill over on that Queen of Pain. 40 seconds in the grave, no buyback available for her. So this could be the go sign for the Dire team if they want to try to put pressure onto these tier 2 towers now. Phantom Lancer is up in that top lane, throwing out the Doppelganger and Juxtapose Illusions over onto that tier 2 tower. It is about 540 HP, so it's dropping pretty low. Pretty similar situation down in the bottom lane as well. But it looks like they will back off and potentially move over into the Roshan pit, but it will be scouted out by the single ward from the Radiant team up there. They did end up getting a D ward up on this high ground ward. They probably realized that there was a little bit of vision after the Silencer got initiated on over there due to how quickly he died from the distance that was traveled by that Storm Spirit Ball Lightning, just doing a ton of damage whenever he walked right over him with it. There's going to be a Tornado as well as an EPP. Deafening Blast is going to keep him in place. He does end up juking that with the Doppelganger. Nice juke from the Phantom Lancer, able to disjoint the EMP. So what could have potentially been a pretty sticky situation from him if he didn't have mana in order to use that Doppelganger to escape. He ends up just getting away from that. Meanwhile, it is going to be the Storm Spirit who gets a kill on the Ember Spirit up in that top lane, expending all of his mana during that zip. He does have a bottle up regen rune, though, so he's going to be able to just back off and regen back up to full mana. But it does look like the Radiant team is going to be capable of finding out this Skywrath Mage as well as the Earthshaker. There's out the Global Silence from the Silencer. The Cold Snap going to do a lot of damage over onto that Skywrath Mage. His Mystic Flare didn't really connect. Blink in from the Lion, but it's not going to be necessary. They get the Earthshaker as well as the Skywrath Mage during that. So the Storm Spirit as well as the Phantom Lancer and Faceless Void kind of off doing their own thing at the moment that they got cut out there. So no backup coming out for the 2 supports of the Dire team during that. And they're going to end up getting picked off. Phantom Lancer does find out this Lion, throws out the Finger of Death on him, but it's not going to be enough. Throws out the Doppelganger as well as getting a couple more Juxtapose Illusions, but there is a Tornado from the Invoker. He's going to drop pretty low, throws out the Cold Snap, gets the Magic Wand charges off, but it looks like he is going to be able to fall here. Jukes again with the Doppelganger, but ends up doubling back afterwards in order, and he is going to fall from that. Storm Spirit has come in here with the Orchid. He is going to end up dropping the Invoker, but Queen of Pain comes in as well. The Lion is mana draining up on that Storm Spirit. Hex from the Lion as well now too. Ember Spirit's joined this fray. Gets the Sleight of Fist over from the creep waves as well from the Queen of Pain, getting the last hit on that. Ember Spirit almost finishing his Battle Fury up, just needs about 850 more gold for that last component if he wants to get the Ring of Health right now. Meanwhile, there is going to be a leap in as well as the Chronosphere from the Faceless Void. He's going to drop the Lion really quickly. Mystic Flare coming out as well is going to be able to kill over onto that Queen of Pain. So nice pickups for the Dire team after losing a couple of their supports down in the Radiant jungle, getting that extra rotation in with the help of their allied heroes this time, and there is going to be a Blink Dagger pickup on that Earthshaker, so expect to see him sitting on those back lines, waiting out the duration of that global silence. It's going to be up to Silencer whenever he sees that Earthshaker blink in or the Time Walk from the Faceless Void. Unfortunately, there's just so many avenues of initiation coming out for the Dire team. They have the Ball Lightning from the Storm Spirit if they want to expend it, the Blink Echo Slam from the Earthshaker, as well as the Chronosphere from the Faceless Void. So it's going to be really hard for the Radiant team to fight into the Dire as this goes on. Their one saving grace may end up being this Ember Spirit, though. Once he picks up a Battle Fury, it's going to do a lot of damage if he catches out a bunch of illusions from this Phantom Lancer, who has finished his Yasha as well as an Ultimate Orb, so he will be going for that Manta style and has picked up a Morbid Mask afterwards, so that when he finishes that will be the completed Vladimir's offering for him. Bloodstone pickup freshly over for that Storm Spirit as well. He's got 8 charges over on that. Going to be looking to try to snowball, get a little bit more extra mana regen, but there is a Chronosphere from the Faceless Void over onto the Invoker. He ends up 4-staffing away after the expenditure of it. Earthshaker does end up falling. They get the Hex over onto the Faceless Void right now. He's dropping pretty low. He pops his Mask of Madness, but it's not going to end up being enough. Ember Spirit gets the last hit over onto him. It's going to be up to the Storm Spirit whether or not he wants to initiate on this or if he's just going to fall back into his own jungle. It does spot him out from the high ground rune that they have, that they replanted over here. Goes over onto that Ember Spirit, dropping him really low. The Orca going to be able to keep him silenced up from running out of this, but the Invoker finds out the Ember Spirit, the Storm Spirit at the moment, gets a silence on him, and he just ends up suiciding pretty wisely. He was most likely going to fall from that. The line did get caught out in the bottom by the ward from the Dire team, but he's going to be able to just TP away. No method of stopping that TP is going to have the Phantom Lancer. So Invoker opting to go for the Orchid and into a Void Stone. Throws out the Deafening Blast as well as the EMP, going to keep the Phantom Lancer from pursuing him after this, but he is going to have to go back to base himself in order to heal up. So most likely going to be moving over into either a Bloodstone for himself, but I'd have to imagine it's going to be a Yule Scepter. Has maxed out that Wex as well as a lot of levels over into that Quas. Personally, I'm not really a big fan of getting more than 4 points over in Quas, because that's what's required in order to get the double Forge Spirits. Anything after that kind of throws off your timing with EMP and Tornado, keeps them up and lift a little bit too long. But meanwhile, over in this mid lane, they are going to find out that Storm Spirit gets the Orchid over onto him, as well as the Tornado going to throw him up. He's dropping pretty low. Mystic Flare comes out from that Skywrath Mage. Lion ends up getting the last auto attack over onto that Storm Spirit. Ember Spirit throws out the Searing Chains, does connect over on the Skywrath Mage, but he's back on his high ground already. Blink as well as the stun from the Lion. He throws out the Echo Slam from the Earthshaker, but Finger of Death dropping him really low. Invoker gets the last right hit on that. Meanwhile, the Silencer has opted to go for a Ghost Scepter pretty wisely from him. Going to keep a lot of the initiation. The only thing he's going to have to worry about is that Mystic Flare from the Skywrath Mage as well as the Blink Echo Slam from the Earthshaker. But it's definitely going to stifle any initiation that comes out from the Storm Spirit, Faceless Void, or the Phantom Lancer. This tier 1 tower up in the top lane, dropping into deny range momentarily. So it looks like the Ember Spirit will be able to deny a little bit of gold coming out to the Dire team. Checking out this net worth graph, was sinking down to about 14,000 in favor of the Dire. Has swung up to about 8,000 after that last engagement, though. So could be the opportunity that the Radiant team is looking to get back into this. BKB pickup for that Queen of Pain, so she didn't opt to go for the Agnum Scepter. Faceless Void going to whiff over onto that Chronosphere. Queen of Pain just blinking over the top of it, just barely missed on her. EMP as well as the Tornado coming out over onto that Faceless Void. He has no more mana anymore. Not sure if he wants to re-engage on this. He is disarmed as well from that Deafening Blast. Storm Spirit moves over onto that Queen of Pain, gets the kill on her. Not able to follow up over onto the Invoker, though. Searing Chains thrown out from the Ember Spirit. Not going to connect onto that Storm Spirit, though. Phantom Lancer farming up this bottom lane, did finish that Manta style as well as the Vladimir's offering, another 600 gold in his inventory. So it's going to be the world's pretty much his oyster after that, depending on what he wants to move over into. They do have a smoke over on that Faceless Void. No Chronosphere available for him. It does end up popping over from that Invoker. Global Silence coming out from the Silencer, but this Invoker is locked in by the Faceless Void. The last right auto attack from the Skywrath Mage is going to be enough to take him down. Meanwhile, there is a zip in from the Storm Spirit from that Ball Lightning. Ghost Scepter is popped from the Silencer. Finger Death flies out over on the Storm Spirit. Not going to be enough to take him down, though. The Mystic Flare does end up taking, as well as the Fissure, takes out that Lion. So it looks like Storm Spirit, with a little help of his allies, is going to be able to survive after that one, dropping pretty low, but a pretty timely Fissure, as well as Mystic Flare and Silence coming out from that Skywrath Mage, who is up to 1,500 gold, has the finished Vitality booster in his inventory, most likely going to be working over into a Rod of Atos for himself, going to be trying to keep the heroes locked into that Mystic Flare as long as they can. Yeah, their one saving grace from that will end up being the Force Staff from the Invoker. Very helpful against the Mystic Flare, but it is going to be the Phantom Lancer moving over onto this Queen of Pain. She gets silenced from the Skywrath Mage, as well as the Concussive Shot, able to take her down in the end. Nice BKB, says the Skywrath Mage, realizing that the Queen of Pain didn't use her first, I believe it's the 10-second charge on it. Yeah, still has a full BKB. Little disordination coming out from the Radiant team right now, starting to turn against each other, so it's going to be hard for them to come back if they're not communicating well, and if they aren't feeling like they could potentially come back from this. They do have the, as we talked about earlier, they do have the Ember Spirit, who actually opted to go for a Ghost Scepter instead of finishing his Battle Fury. Just really worried about the same reasons that Silencer is, all those right clicks coming out from the Dire team. They are going to catch out this Phantom Lancer, gets the EMP as well as the Tornado on him. The Faceless Void does end up throwing the Chronosphere, does lock the Phantom Lancer in place. He ends up getting the, looks like he will get a kill on the Ember Spirit, actually ends up capable of remedying away. Ice Wall thrown down by Invoker, keeping the Faceless Void locked in place. Throws out the Finger of Death, Invoker getting the last hit over onto him. Ghost Scepter popped by the line, is going to be able to juke away. 3 Remnants thrown out from the Ember Spirit over onto that Skywrath Mage, not going to connect with all of them though. Ends up throwing out the Fissure from the Earthshaker, is going to keep the Ember Spirit from continuing to pursue. Queen of Pain uses that BKB that Skywrath made fun of her before, but he's going to be able to use that to kill her. Meanwhile, the Phantom Lancer has joined this fray. Ember Spirit throws out the Sleight of Fist, is going to keep him down with that Searing Chains. He does end up getting the kill over to the Silencer. There's not the last Searing Chains, but it's going to be the Deafening Blast from the Invoker. Double kill for him. 4 down for the Dire team, only in exchange for the Silencer after that. Fight recap looks like it was about a 1,300 gold. Well, it's not including these 2 kills from the Faceless Void as well as the Skywrath Mage. So a little bit more, probably around a 26,000 to 3,000 EX net worth gain in favor of the Radiant team. And this could be their opportunity to start knocking on these tier 2 towers for the Dire. Invoker moving over into that Ultimate Orb as well as the Void Stone. So it will be a Scythe of Ice pickup next for him. Not opting to go for that Lincoln Sphere to stop the Spirit Lance as well as the Electric Vortex from that Storm Spirit. Dire team does throw out the glyph. Storm Spirit is up in his own jungle. I don't believe he was available for that last fight. He was farming, so that could have been the reason why they weren't capable of manning up against all of that. Just not enough mobility coming out from the Dire team after the global silence as well as the lockdown. They will get the Ball Lightning in over onto that Queen of Pain. No Orchid though. The Faceless Void tries to time walk in, but a nice tornado coming out from the Invoker, keeping him up in the air before he could drop out the animation for that Chronosphere. He did get that finished Mjolnir as well as an Agnum Scepter, so those the duration as well as the cooldown for those Chronospheres is going to be pretty low. The Radiant Dire team is going to be able to pick off more fights than they previously could have. They do find this Queen of Pain down in the bottom lane, throws out the Mystic Flare. No Orchid from the Storm Spirit. It was on cooldown, so the Queen of Pain is going to be able to just blink away, but that's their sign. That's the go sign. Let's go into the Roshan pit, says the Faceless Void. He time walks in, and Storm Spirit Ball Lightning's over into the low ground of the Roshan pit. So it is looking like it is going to be an uncontested Roshan for the Dire team. That'll be a big pickup for them during that next fight. But the tier 2 tower up in that top lane is going to be starting getting pressured by the line as well as the Ember Spirit. Invoker is inside Ghost Walk, does find out this the Skywrath Mage. Throws out the Meatball, but it's not going to be able to connect. Gets the Cold Snap though. Fissure from the Earthshaker's there and available. He uses it as well as the Blinken as the Enchant Totem. Not even going to expend the Echo Slam in order to kill that Invoker. They keep him locked in place. And that's going to be an easy pickup for them. What could have been one for the Invoker on that Skywrath Mage ends up being his own death. Storm Spirit does TP up into this top lane after picking up that Aegis. It is going to find out that Lion. He did stick around in the fog a little bit just too long. Phantom Lancer's going to say, see you later, buddy. I did want to help you push against that tower, but I don't want to die with you. No suicide packs here. So Ember Spirit is going to end up just being able to TP down to that bottom lane with the Boots of Travel, but Lion going to end up falling for their troubles trying to pressure up against this tier 2 tower, which they did end up doing a little bit of damage to, but it's going to be pretty inconsequential compared to dying. So Ultimate Orb pickup for the Phantom Lancer, still has that Orb of Venom in his inventory, so most likely going to be that Eye of Scotty that picks up next. It is going to be the Chronosphere from the Faceless Void going down over onto the Monkeys Forever. Is going to end up dropping that Ember Spirit pretty easily. Has a lot of attack speed as well as damage coming out from that Mjolnir as well as the Mask of Madness. Meanwhile, Phantom Lancer in this middle lane is pressuring the Tier 3 tower. Buyback comes out from the Ember Spirit. He has the Battle Fury, so it'll certainly help against the illusions and dissuading them from continuing to push. But this Tier 3 tower is dropping really low. The Siege Tank as well as the Phantom Lancer going to get the last hit on that. He does get Orchided up. It's going to wear off though after he pops that Manta style. So he's going to be able to big blink Echo Slam from the Earthshaker. He comes in. Ghost Scepter popped over on that Ember Spirit. So while we doubted it before, big pickup from him. Keeps him alive during that, which would have killed him. Throws out the Sleight of Fist. Is going to connect over on the Storm Spirit. Mystic Flare thrown out from the Skywrath Mage. They use the Dust in order to keep the Ghost Walk up from the Invoker. Ball Lightning in from the Storm Spirit. He ends up getting a kill over onto that Silencer, or the Lion. Buyback comes out from the Invoker. Queen of Pain ends up falling in the end. The Skywrath Mage just so low. Ends up dying on the backside. Meanwhile, the Deafening Blast comes out. Does disarm the Phantom Lancer. They are going to get a kill over onto the Earthshaker, or the Ember Spirit as well, so that's a dieback for him. Buyback from the Silencer. Storm Spirit and Phantom Lancer continue to go to work together, and they do end up getting 3 down, actually going to end up being 5+2 during this, since they did get 2 buybacks out of it. The Tornado as well as the Meatball is not going to connect over onto the Dire team. They are going to get an easy kill over onto that Silencer, so that's a dieback for him as well. So big pickups coming out for the Dire team. They are going to get middle barracks, whether or not they want to move over in to try to get mega creeps, since all these heroes, none of them have buyback. 75 seconds on the deadlines for that Queen of Pain, as well as 49 and 63 for the Silencer, as well as the Ember Spirit. Invoker trying to do everything he can to keep some pressure off of these Tier 4 towers. Throws out the double Forge Spirits as well as the Ice Wall. And it does look like the Dire team is going to continue to just disengage off of this. Still has the Aegis of Immortal over onto the Storm Spirit. Did finish that Scythe of Ice before the last team fight as well. So that's a big pickup coming out for them. Earthshaker did move over and pick up a Force Staff for himself. Meanwhile, the Phantom Lancer almost has that finished. Eye of Scotty actually has it finished if he wants it. Just needs that point booster over from the Secret Shop. Skywrath Mage does finish that Rod of Atos that we talked about previously, so that's certainly going to help as long as the other team doesn't have their BKBs active. And Faceless Void opting to go for a BKB himself, just wants to be able to sit inside his Chronosphere without getting silenced or disarmed from the Invoker or the last word of the Silencer. And it looks like for the Radiant team, Silencer still sitting on the pickup of that Ghost Scepter, as well as the Ember Spirit, only 855 gold after using the buyback after getting his Battle Fury. Lion sitting on this pretty similar situation, does opt to go for a Staff of Wizardry, so whether or not that could potentially be a Agnum Scepter for him or just another Force Staff. But it also looks like Queen of Pain moving over into an Agnum Scepter for herself, picks up that point booster, could potentially be a Bloodstone as well. A little bit late to pick up that Agnum Scepter, but it will certainly help based on the fact that the Faceless Void does have one for himself. Meanwhile, it does look like the Invoker is going to get a Cold Snap over onto the Skywrath Mage. He's going to end up falling, but the Storm Spirit blinks up from the, Ball Lightning's in from the low ground. He's going to get sheeped up. There is a BKB out from the Queen of Pain. Finger Death goes over on the Storm Spirit. The Aegis is going to drop, but it was going to be used up in a second anyway, so let's see what he can do with that second life. He gets a zip over onto the Invoker. Echo Slam comes out as well. They get the kill on the Invoker, moving over on that Queen of Pain, gets the kill on him, dominating streak for the Storm Spirit. Meanwhile, the Faceless Void has joined this fray. He does have the Time Walk as well as the Chronosphere if he wants to use it over on that Ember Spirit. The only remnant is going to be that one over there. They get the silence onto him. This is going to be the sign for the Chronosphere. He starts going over on the Silencer though, so he's going to get the kill on him pretty easily. They move onto the line. Another kill for him. Throws out the BKB as well. They get the Sheep over onto the Ember Spirit, and that's going to be a triple kill for that Faceless Void. Big continuing to just snowball out of control. 40 minutes into the game, 54-36 in favor of the Dire team. Checking that net worth graph, going to be pretty significant. Yeah, sitting down around 30,000 in favor of the Dire. More than enough if they want to continue to move up into this high ground. All 5 down for the Radiant. No buybacks available on any of them. So this is going to be an easy Tier 3 as well as Barracks in the bottom lane. Most likely the top. And could just be GG if they decide to move over onto the Tier 4s of that middle lane. Faceless Void opting to do just that. Time walks over into the Tier 4s. They are starting to beat down on that. It's going to be the first one that ends up falling. Well, it is going to be about 17 seconds until the Silencer as well as the Queen of Pain are back up, but it's going to be too late. Their base is in shambles right now. They're 30,000 gold behind, and it looks like they are going to be able to just move over into this Ancient. Faceless Void already has his Chronosphere back up for whatever hero comes out in order to try to stop this. So it looks like this is going to end up being GG. Throws the Chronosphere down onto the well, actually. He's going to stop it from auto-attacking him. They get an easy 2 kills onto the Queen of Pain as well as the Silencer. Lion comes back to life, but he's going to find a pretty similar fate. Actually doesn't end up dying before it is GG. The throne explodes. Game goes in the Dire pocket. Really good game from them. Just continuing to snowball right after the start. They get that early game before the horn even sounded, that fissure from the Earthshaker, as well as the kills, the first blood on that Faceless Void, as well as the Storm Spirit getting one for himself. After that, it was just basically bad news bears for the rest of the team. That Phantom Lancer just getting a ton of farm up in that top lane was 7-3 and 0 pretty early on, which definitely helped facilitate him getting that fast Diffusal Blade. So pretty well played from all the heroes. Storm Spirit also doing a lot of work during that, ends up winning the mid lane pretty decently up against that Invoker, doubling his CS early on, gets that Orchid pickup, and just continue to move around with the great vision coming out from the supports of the Dire hero. So aggressive during that, getting the high ground vision for the Storm Spirit and able to just get him zipping around into the place with that finished Orchid. Doesn't even matter that the Queen of Pain as well as the Invoker picked up Orchids of their own. So all in all, great game coming out from the Dire. Both teams put up pretty good fights. If you guys enjoyed this, you can follow me. My name is YaManDota over on Twitter at twitter.com/YaManDota. This cast comes from DotaCasters.com. If you want to follow them on Twitter, it's twitter.com/DotaCasters. Glad all of you could enjoy this game with me, and have a good night.